have over 20 years experience in sales and education, and I walked away from that career to give myself to motherhood. And nearly 500,000 families worldwide have really joined me on this journey. And be the first person to extend your arm for a handshake. You can't wait in the corner. That opportunity is not going to come to you. You have to create it. So I am still first and foremost a full-time mom.
Welcome to Confidence Secrets, a series where we explore the art of self-presentation, confidence, and power of commanding any room you enter. This season, I'm so excited to introduce you to some amazing guests from Modern Day Wives Meet Me in New York event. Let's jump into today's episode. Joining me today, Michelle Gardner, wife, devoted mother, and the creative mind behind Sensory Kids Play. At one of Canada's top mom influencers, Michelle has built a thriving community of almost 400,000 families, inspiring parents to embrace the power of educational play. With a background in sales and education and a certification in early childhood education, she's on a mission to help children of all learning styles gain confidence and essential skills through play. Michelle, I am so excited to dive into your journey and the impact of Sensory Kids Play.
Thank you so much, Kate. Thank you for having me here. I really appreciate it. So yes, I am first and foremost a wife and a mom of two beautiful girls. I have over 20 years experience in sales and education in the beauty industry. And in 2021, I walked away from that career to essentially give myself to motherhood and really focus on spending the time with my family. My two daughters were born 16 months apart. So for me, it was a complete shift in not only career, but day-to-day life. And not only was I not prepared for, how much of a change that could be, I really was struggling with spending time with my toddler when I had a newborn at home. And one thing that was always so important to me in my career was education. I knew I wanted to spend time educating my toddler. I saw that she was really opening up to watching television, and there were a lot of things that she was interested in, specifically toys and sensory videos, but I couldn't see an educational piece to that. I felt the need to create controlled content for my toddler to watch while I was nursing a newborn who was only 3 months old at the time when I started Sensory Kids Play. And so I started to record during nap time after my girls went to sleep at night. I would record, I would edit, and I started to put these videos onto YouTube, really just to show my daughter. Every step of the way has been for her, for them. But I have been just so incredibly impressed and humbled that nearly 500,000 families worldwide have really joined me on this journey, and they've allowed me to really bring Sensory Kids Play to the next level this year. In 2025, we are looking at expanding into an online curriculum. We'll be expanding towards an app, books, toys. So we have really exciting things to come. And at the end of the day, my children are still very young. They're not even in school yet. So I am still first and foremost a full-time mom. So I am very busy, as you can imagine.
Yeah, wow. Thanks for sharing that. I didn't even realize it. So I saw that you're yes, a creative mind behind the Sensory Kids, but I didn't realize that you actually are doing this, editing those videos. So that's amazing.
Yes, I'm a one-woman show. I am not a team. So
oh, wow.
now I am happy to have an agency behind me that can really help me with my brand expansion, but I take care of all the content on my own.
Oh, that's great. Great job. And full-time mom. That's a
Mm-hmm.
lot. And especially right now with expanding your business, I imagine that you have to pitch maybe some ideas to some people, to your partners maybe. And before you do that, how do you approach making a strong first impression in professional and also social settings? Maybe you can give us a few examples or ideas what you do.
Absolutely. So when you're making a first impression, when I'm making a first impression, I always try to be bold. For instance, be the first person to extend your arm for a handshake. You need to go up and introduce yourself to people. And if you're in a networking situation or a professional setting, you really want to have a one-liner ready, something that's going to catch that interest if you're trying to market yourself and your brand. Because you may only have 15 seconds of someone's ear listening to you, and you really want to leave them with an impression of who you are, what do you do, and what do you hope to achieve. And that's something that, for instance, at the last Modern Day Wife event in Toronto that I attended, I really took initiative to do. And it's brought me a ton of really great contacts. So it's been an amazing way of, getting that point across when you only have a small amount of time. Now, if I'm in more of a social setting where I have opportunity to have conversations one on one with people, I kind of shift my gears a little bit. So my intention in that situation is really to create connection. I think, especially post COVID, people are really craving connection one on one. They want to make those contacts in person. And so to do that, what I like to do is ask more than I share. I like to find out about people. And I feel that when people can open up and talk about themselves, they kind of remember you a little bit better because you spent more time with them and they really got their point across as well. So I like to share. I also like to ask a ton of questions because you want to be remembered. And I think the more time you can spend with someone, the more that first impression will last.
So you shared about having this one line statement or let's say
Mhm.
elevator pitch for 15 seconds.
Yes.
And also you mentioned very interesting things that I think nobody mentioned before in this interviews about the handshake. It's more
Yes.
about nonverbal communication. So maybe you can also call and tell us any other details about your body language or self-presentation that you always pay attention to when you are stepping into a room or maybe on stage.
Absolutely. Confidence, posture, a smile, and to really find an opening. I think one of the most vulnerable moments can be if you're sitting and waiting, kind of talking, seeing a conversation happening in front of you, and you're waiting for that in. I think you can start to feel a little bit awkward. So you need to really find that gap of opportunity where you see who you want to speak with, you make that beeline, and you really, like I said, be bold. Don't be afraid to walk right up to them. You know who you are, you know what you have to offer. So stand tall, a nice smile, extend that arm, and just go ahead and go for it, introducing yourself. I think you can't be timid. You can't wait in the corner. That opportunity is not going to come to you. You have to create it.
Before you perform on a stage, maybe you have some rituals or habits like power poses or affirmations, or maybe you can share with us how you approach your wardrobe choices that help you to embody that confidence you're talking about.
Absolutely. So I always keep one thing in mind when I'm about to talk to an audience. And this stems from my experience in Canada working with a number of different groups across different provinces. So here we have French as a second language, and there are many French speaking provinces where English is a second language for a lot of my audience. And I always try to keep that top of mind. I need to be well aware of my speed, how well I articulate what I'm saying, and just being cautious of any slang that I use, because some people may, be sitting in front of you and English may not be their first language. They may be putting forth that extra amount of effort just to understand. So I always put myself into that mindset of let's speak to people as if English is not their first language and let's make sure that the message comes across clear. I think for me, that's the most important thing that's top of mind more than any affirmation or any posture. I think that message needs to be clear, especially when you're at a speaking engagement. That being said, I know you're talking to wardrobe, and I think wardrobe is so incredibly important, but maybe not in the way that a lot of people think. I mean, we put our outfit together, we want to feel good, we want to feel confident, look good, feel good, right? So we do our outfit check in the mirror and we head out on our way. But one thing that I am so very cautious about, and I have had the opportunity to be on stage where I have a large stage area and maybe I'm running back and forth. I need to be cautious of my footwear. I need to make sure I am in a comfortable pair of shoes because if my mind is on my feet in pain, it is not on my presentation or my message. And the same thing goes to if I am sitting on stage. I may pull up a chair at home and sit in front of the mirror to make sure I'm not adjusting too much, I'm not revealing too much, that I'm comfortable, that I'm confident, and that I'm not restricted at all. So I think that's important as well. And I think that's some thought that we don't always put into our wardrobe. And it's so, so important for presentation.
Yeah, I agree with you. It's very important to try the clothing, to try your shoes before the event, so you
Mhm.
can make sure that it's not distracting, right? That you're
Yes.
just comfortable, you're fine, and you're not thinking about it. And I totally agree about sitting on the stage. You never know what will be the sitting arrangement. It can be like, a
Absolutely.
very low sofa, like, laid
Yes,
back sofa. Sometimes it can be like really high bar chair, like, and you
absolutely.
have to accommodate it. And maybe some tip for our audience, just try to figure out, ask their organizers before the event what kind of the sitting it will be, because you might have a short dress or like mini skirt or high heels, and it might not be very convenient for you to just position your legs on the stage. And before that, maybe you can remember before times when you struggled with confidence. Maybe you had some situations from which you learned something, and what did you take from that experience, and how did you overcome the challenges?
Absolutely. I think what's interesting is for me, I've had a great career, sales leadership in the beauty industry. I've always had a level of confidence speaking in front of a group. I think my challenge has actually come since having my babies. So, as any new mother could experience, you're going through hormonal changes, your body changes, your face changes. I mean, I look at my pre baby wardrobe and it's skinny jeans and crop tops, and that is not appropriate for today. And I think you start to second guess yourself. Am I trendy enough? Do I need to dress differently now that I'm a mom? You're trying to really reinvent your style or find your style again. And I think that's something that I've really been challenged with since having my children. I mean, they're 3 and almost 2 now, so it's still an ongoing journey. And I don't know that there's necessarily steps I would take to turn that around. It's something that I'm dealing with later in life, not earlier in my career, but I'm really learning to give myself grace, understanding that it's a journey, really leaning in on my experience and my credibility, and just reminding myself that, and reminding other women as well, that any major life change is going to add experience and wisdom and credibility to your resume. And I'm trying to find my confidence in that. And at the same time, still, finding my style and really looking out at the world today and kind of seeing where I fit. But just staying true to yourself and really embracing who you are at the end of the day and what you have to offer. I think that's where that confidence comes from and struggles.
I agree with you.
Yeah.
So, from your experience, maybe you can share some final 2, 3 quick tips to help someone to elevate their presence, elevate their confidence, help them to stand out if they are afraid right now in their daily life, or maybe they are afraid to speak on the stage. Oh, would be great if you could share.
Absolutely. I think first and foremost, you really have to grasp every opportunity that comes to you. You never know what could come from it. You never know who you may meet. And if it's just, something added into your experience on your resume, been there, done that, that's great. But you never know. And, you know, you have to open yourself up to opportunities. I think that's so, so important. The other thing is talk about what you know and share about what you're most passionate about, because at the end of the day there may be someone who knows more in a subject area than you do, and that's completely okay. But you will find confidence in what you know, and your audience can see that as well when you talk about what you love. And I think really relying on things like credibility are going to become so important moving forward in terms of just generalities and confidence. I think we look at things like, for instance, a lot of influencers on TikTok platforms are becoming a little shaky in terms of what's happening with them. People are going to need to fall back on their credibility. So, not only taking every opportunity, but continuing to educate yourself is only going to allow you to feel more confident and more credible. And I believe in never stop learning. Continue to take courses and see what's out there and learn and add to your resume. I think that's so important. Lastly, I'll leave you with this. If you're afraid, do it anyway, because imposter syndrome has a hold on all of us. None of us feel like we're good enough to be there on stage. Someone's always going to be better than us, but go for it. Don't be afraid. We're all afraid at some point, and your only competition is yourself. Just continue to grow and build, and you'll become better with time, I promise.
That's amazing. Thank you. Very inspirational. And I cannot, stress more enough on the first point you said about you never know what can
Mhm.
happen,
There you go.
whom can you meet anywhere, like in a coffee shop or something. And I cannot stop talking about it. People think that they should embody confidence and that self presentation only during the event of like only during those 5 minutes when
Yes,
they are on the stage, but it's not true. You should be feeling this way all the time. Just a quick example here, like last week I was helping last year I was helping on the LA Fashion Week, and during the casting there are many models and it took a long time, and not all designers, not all the team members could like stay for the whole time of the
Mhm.
casting. So they were just booking models from the line, just
Yes,
based on the
absolutely.
way like how they presented themselves. And I was shocked because so many models were like just slouching, just sitting like this, just waiting for their turn. Like they
Yes,
didn't do a good thing in terms of their self presentation. So embody that confidence, keep your posture. You never know whom you can meet.
absolutely. Keep
And
networking.
thank you so much for your time and sharing your tips. That was very interesting. And thanks to everyone who joined us today. I hope you found those tips inspiring as well. And let me know in the comments which advice or tips stood out the most for you. And of course, be sure to follow More Than Day Wife. And of course, our guest Michelle and me on Instagram and on YouTube, her channel Sensory Kids Play. I will leave all the details below, and stay connected for the next episode of Confidence Secrets, and see you next time. Thanks for joining this episode of Confidence Secrets with me, Ziuz. If you're ready to take it even further, check out my programs at masteryourpresence.com, designed to help you to build that unshakable confidence and master a body language. Thanks for being a part of this journey, and I see you in the next one.